Hey everybody, Greg here coming to you with another episode of Greg's Bonsai. And today we're going to be going back over my Pomegranate A plant that I have here. And if you've been watching this series, you may notice that it's a little different than how we left it off at the end of my last video back in December. That's because in December, these three little guys here were actually about yay tall. And after I did the video, and I even made a comment on it, and somebody made a comment on my video that he would have pruned back a little bit more. And you know, the more I thought about it, the more I said, you know what, I agree with that. I didn't see a whole lot happening with it, with the shoots being all the way up here. So I decided to pare it down. We're only a couple inches up, and you can see after 2 months, really more of like a month, because I decided to cut this back down a little later. So maybe like a month and a half worth of growth here on this pomegranate. And we'll kind of just go into this here. But before we go on, just make sure to hit that subscribe button or like button. Make sure to help the YouTube algorithm for our channel. And without further ado, we're going to go on here through my Pomegranate A plant that's been growing in the grow tent. And we've been growing it from seed ever since last summer. So yeah, this guy was pretty tall last month or 2 months ago when I first did it, and I decided to cut it back. I actually did that with all my pomegranates I had growing in the tent of all sizes. I just kind of decided to, trim them down, because these guys, as you can see, this is about a month and a half of growth. They grow back pretty robustly, okay? When you trim them back, they just say, oh no, and they decide to kind of grow up rather quickly. So I have a let me get in here a little bit more. I have 3 trunks kind of growing out of this main base, okay? And the base is pretty hardy, pretty thick for its size. We will probably eventually scale this down as we're growing. I may end up getting rid of this middle guy or something, or just axing 2 of these and going with one up. But this is all just kind of playing around and seeing how they do. So that kind of gives you some context. These guys were about maybe a foot and a half tall when I cut them down. So I cut them down to about 4 inches, and just kind of let them sit there. And within a week or so of cutting it down, probably within a week, we started to see buds kind of grow out where there were leaves originally. And you can kind of see that even here where we have some leaves, you can kind of see how new buds are forming. That's pretty much what was happening here on this guy. So each one has 2 shoots coming out of it. And we do have a little bit of back budding growth here on these trunk lines, but nothing too crazy. It didn't go all the way down to like these buds here, but it did grow a little bit. And then at the top ones, because you can see right here, this is where I trimmed off. It decided to shoot out in a V, and it did that on the one right behind it and to the one right here. Now, again, you want to kind of, when you're doing this, you want to see where those buds would be forming. So this one, since they were formed right here, if I would cut all the way down here, we'd have a bud coming out this way, the same way this is going. So you can kind of see that as it goes up, it kind of alternates, all right? You can kind of see that here as well as you're going up. You can kind of get a little bit of an alternation going. Or this is a really great place to see it. We've got one coming out here, and then one that comes out kind of alternating, and then up here they alternate again, and as we keep going. So that's kind of one thing to kind of keep an eye on when you are cutting or trimming these. so that you can kind of know which way your branches, once they decide to come out, are going to go. All right. Now we can see that this closest trunk coming up has really grown. All right, so eventually, and we'll wait another month here probably once these thicken up a little bit more. I may even wait another month after that. But once these get long enough and start getting weighted down enough, because as these get longer, the weight is just going to, and that's really why I trimmed these originally, was the weight was getting there and they were just starting to bend a little too much to my liking. We'll probably do that and we'll go back to, you know, somewhere around here. And we're going to keep more of an eye on where we trim to kind of give this a little bit more of a shape as we start to define this a little bit more. Now these guys are, like I said, forgiving in what you do, because if you cut it back, it's going to grow like crazy like this. These guys can, especially in this formation, can get pretty bushy, okay? And eventually we'll be looking at going maybe one and kind of making this more like a tree eventually. And I do have a couple pomegranates that I'll have to bring into rotation here for you guys to see that are more of a traditional straight upright kind of tree. But for now, I just kind of have the bushier ones to show off. So you can kind of just see the leaves are pretty dark as we get near the center, as they've been aging. And they look a little more wrinkly up at the top. You can kind of see these newer leaves forming at the tips. And again, we have this telltale new growth, okay, with the reddish inside. It's pretty translucent, okay? And as you get down here, it's very woody. But when you have this new growth, it's kind of translucent. You can see the red coming through. It's kind of neat to kind of see how it grows. And this is kind of like that same red that you see in the pomegranate itself, which again, pretty cool to see here. Just on a, you know, fascinating type thing. But I have had some white bugs trying to attack these. I've been trying to keep them at bay with some neem oil, and just trying to keep after them. You know, if I see them, I try and pick them off and things like that, because they do tend to weaken the plant. So in between waterings, I like to check all my leaves, because they just seem to be coming back with a vengeance right now. So yeah, that is essentially what we're seeing here right now. Just some nice growth, intermixing. So eventually, like I said, I'm going to give it another month, and then I'm just going to start trimming in here to get rid of some of this. You can already see some V's forming up, which is great. That can help me do some directionalized trimming to just kind of give it what it wants. And I'm not sure if I can see this on the camera. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit here, but you can kind of see at the end of these leaves some sap coming out of them, and it is sticky. If I put my finger on it, I can feel it, and it is a little sticky. So that's actually sap that comes out of the trees. So the cool thing about it, I looked it up, it's just, you can kind of tell if you're watering enough or not. And I'm just at the end of a watering cycle here, where I just watered this a couple days ago. So that's all showing up. But the cool thing about that is that it's natural on these trees for the sap to come out right at the tip of all the leaves, which I thought was really cool. So as the sap thickens up inside the tree, if it's not getting enough water, the sap will thicken up, because the water is not coming up through essentially their blood vessels of the tree. The sap, the blood of it, essentially thickens up and starts coming out of the pores at the end of the leaves. So I thought that was really neat. So I'm gonna have to keep an eye on that now that I looked that up. And if I start seeing this happening, I know that it needs a little bit more of a watering regime. So kind of cool to know, kind of cool to see. I mean, and you can kind of see here, excuse me, at the end of these, that some of the leaves just aren't forming, and that might just be my fault with some watering. So we'll keep an eye on it. I hope that made sense to you, because I tried to make sense with that when I was talking about it there to my own self. But I do try and keep these guys watered as much as possible. They do prefer a little bit drier at times, but at least that's what I'm noticing in the grow tent. So if you have any questions, make sure to let me know down below. Again, this is my Pomegranate A. If you did like what you saw, please make sure to hit that like button. If you have any questions, comments, concern about this guy, let me know down below. I tend to ramble a little bit, but this is just me documenting for myself, really, and for some entertainment purposes for you guys, just to see what's going on inside the grow tent, and so that I can hopefully monthly document each one of my plants. And I try to get videos out maybe twice, 3 times a week, depending on my schedule and holidays and just things like that, and how things grow, if there's been any changes with the plants. I eventually will hopefully look at repotting these, getting them into a little bit different pots. I got a couple bonsai pots, like training pots, that I want to try and get some of these in. And I know some people will be like, no, Greg, don't do it. But, you know, just trying to get the root structure trained as much as the structure up top. So like I said, if you like this video, please make sure to hit the like button. Helps the YouTube algorithm, helps me get these videos out there. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, if you want to see something specific on my channel, let me know in the comments. And if you really did like it, please make sure to hit the subscribe button and the little bell that goes along with it. Really helps knowing that I've got people viewing this and actually want to watch this. And I like to talk with my subscribers down below in that comment section. So please make sure to say hi down below. And until next time, this is Greg. This is Pomegranate A. We'll see you guys next time. Take care. Thanks for watching.